edition of the Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by contractorssecretweapon.com.
Before we get into the conversation with you, I just want to do a shout out to our sponsors who help promote Contractor's Secret Weapon and just some of the things that they have in store for you, our listeners. Hey, is your phone ringing enough? Do you want it to ring more with highly motivated and qualified buyers that contact you, the contractor, directly? No more waiting for the phone to ring. Just answer that phone. Best Home Services leads are dedicated to making your phone ring with motivated buyers that call you directly. There's no obligation to talk with them. Just go to contractorssecretweapon.com/money. Fill out the form to secure your discount on the setup fee. Do it today. This special will not last forever. Check them out at contractorssecretweapon.com/money.
Running a small business is no easy task, and I should know because I had a service company for almost 10 years. I am the founder of a software called Radius Bomb, and it's unbelievable. And for all the listeners of Contractor's Secret Weapon, we have a special offer for you to check out. If you want to send hyper-targeted, laser-focused, super personalized postcards to your exact prospects using a map while sitting in your underwear, then go to contractorssecretweapon.com/Radius Bomb, and we'll give you your first 100 postcards for free. Just go to contractorssecretweapon.com/Radius Bomb.
Hey, welcome to Contractor's Secret Weapon. This is Dave Negri, your host today, and I am just pleased to be here as always. And I have a returning guest. Many of you maybe have listened and heard our guest before, Jonah Canter from Cantor Construction in Columbus, South Carolina. Really fun time the last time we had him on the show. And if you don't know who he is, he's a contractor in Columbia, South Carolina. He's been in the construction business, and he's actually started at an early age running other companies and moved up and actually ended up starting his own construction business and took all the stuff he learned in running other companies at such a young age and put him into his construction company. But mostly, honestly, it's in the service area end of it. I mean, he does a great job at what he does, but he gets called back and back and back because of his relationship that he builds with his clients and his customers. And so I wanted to bring him back because we wanted to talk about how you could get no-cost construction leads. And we really go into that kind of heavily today, and with, we just had such a great response that I wanted to bring Jonah back. So here's Jonah. Jonah, I'm glad that you could come back today because the last time we got such a great response to what you talked about, and I know you've got some really awesome stuff about marketing that you want to talk to today.
Yeah, Dave, I appreciate you having me back. It was fun doing the last one, and I got a lot of responses from some of the viewers, which was really helpful and made me feel good that people are actually taking some of what we're talking about and actually putting it to good use. So that was great.
Awesome.
So yeah, I appreciate you having me back. One of the things I thought that would be helpful for the listeners today is if we could talk a little bit about how contractors can get leads or without spending money. I consider them the no-cost construction lead process. And I'll dive right in. So when I was first getting my business going, I didn't have a clue like how I was going to get literally the first phone call. And I had got friends and family to have us do some small stuff, but that's not sustainable. So I was sitting on my couch one night, and I ended up emailing a real estate friend of mine, and I said, "Hey, do you have a contractor you use for fences and decks and whatever?" And he responded back, "Hey, actually, I need somebody to take care of a bunch of like loose end kind of stuff. But yeah, we will." And I thought about it, and I was like, "Wow, well, if he needs that kind of stuff, I bet you there's other realtors." So I went on this journey in the Charleston area and finding how many realtor groups and people there were out there, and I found out, which I know now and everybody knows, is there's a lot of realtors in whatever geography that you are in particular.
Yeah.
Thousands of them. And They're like sand, sand on the beach kind of thing. So what I realized is I said, man, this is kind of a potentially untapped market of people who on a regular basis are dealing in real estate transactions, buying and selling, that may need some type of construction service. So I went and I bought a 6-pack of beer and I got on my laptop and I started to go feverishly by each realty and started copy and pasting into a spreadsheet by the realty the person's name, their email. And this is a bunch of, again, sweat equity. I'm just sitting on the couch. It's mindless stuff. Could I have probably paid somebody to do it? Sure. But to me, it's like, I don't want to ever spend money for stuff like this. So I ended up doing it myself. And at the end of it, I ended up getting about 300 emails. And each realty company is a little different. For the most part, most realty companies have their emails publicly available. You can click on the person's face and they're there because they want you to have their email. In other cases, if you're smart and you want to get crafty, sometimes the realty company will hide or have almost like a contact wall in front before you can get to the realtor. It's a dumb idea, in my opinion. It's a terrible way of aggravating people, but they do it sometimes. Well, me being the never satisfied Jonah, I didn't like that. I thought there was a whole realty of people that I couldn't get their email address for. So what I ended up doing was I tried to find out, like, how exactly do you get a particular, email? And what I found was I ended up finding a press release that ended up coming from somebody within the company. And I realized that it said Jane.Doe at such and such realty. And I went, oh, well, that's the naming convention for their emails. I already have all of the names of the people. I bet you I'm pretty close to figuring out John Maybank is John.Maybank at Name Realty. So for those that were a little tricky and I didn't get the emails, just using common sense, I kind of put that together and I harvested those as well. Now I got, some with middle names that, that I didn't put in right or whatever that got kicked back. But in general, I was able to harvest a lot of those emails that, for the average person would be hidden behind that and were valid emails. But to get to the core numbers, I ended up I think it was around 300 emails. And what I ended up doing was I did not do this kind of MailChimp or whatever process. There's a 1,000 different reasons, but one of the biggest and most important ones is that a lot of these websites are red flagged from email accounts already. They know where they're coming from and they say that's junk, so we'll put it there. And those companies are always paying a lot of money to try to get that red flag lifted. So I said, I don't want that to happen. So what I did was I focused on the individual realtors, realty companies. And what I did was I literally opened 15 different Gmail email windows. And I would copy and paste. And so what I would do is I would have the same subject line, and then the message would be the same. I would say, hey, my name is Jonah Canter. I'm currently working with Ryan X over here at Carolina 1, doing some projects. I'd love to be the person that can help you with your inspection reports, your CL 100 sign-offs, or any kind of general construction that you need. Feel free to contact us, whatever. And I would copy and paste that message into every single one of those messages. Go back to my spreadsheet, pop in all the emails. For a lot of listeners, they're like, holy cow, that's a lot of work for it. Well, the whole reason I was spending a lot of that work is I wanted that to get to that person. I wanted to go around the junk mail thing. So that's the best way at the time that I knew how to do it. So after a lot of time and sending those emails, a lot of time as in I think it took me about 3 solid hours to do it properly and methodically and make sure it was nice. And I curtailed it to each realty, right? So I made sure it's like, I work with your friend so-and-so at Carolina 1, or I've done business dealings with your colleagues in your office. It sets a familiar tone email, more likely to open. So out of the 300, I had about 32 people actually reply.
That's pretty awesome.
It was. Just to having people reply at 32 people was amazing. And then when you get into the fact that out of those 32 people, I ended up picking up 15 realtors who wanted me to start looking at jobs for them.
Right away.
Right away. So
Jeez, that's sweet.
Yeah. So for the people out there, if you don't know marketing and everything, it seems like an immensely small number. But as far as industry standards go for marketing and marketing campaigns, that's a seriously successful situation to find yourself in with your leads, right?
But
and so
you break it down, I mean, and well, think about it. I know you probably will, but when you break it down per hour of time you spent generating that lead and the dollar, yeah, it's a high percentage rate. Not only is it just a high percentage rate, but man, that's a high dollar amount rate for the amount of work you got.
Absolutely. And, one of the things is that the immediate impact of this wasn't really apparent to me until I realized how my network had expanded. Mm-hmm. So agents who were on the buying side and had no knowledge of my company were now hearing that my company was doing the repairs, right? So I not only gained the selling agent, but I also the work from the buying agent, right? And in the middle of all that were the customers, both the buying or the selling, who potentially would provide me with more work. And it was a wonderful situation to find myself in, because in a lot of cases, these clients buying the house had ideas for what they wanted to add or update after the closing. And I was the first person that came to their mind because I did the repairs on the real estate repair side. So
let me stop, because I just don't think that everyone is comprehending. And if you are, I just want to make this another aha moment by sending out those emails that actually put you in front of 4 potential customers.
It does. Well, it's actually 6 potential customers. Well, it is. If you're dealing with real estate teams, you're correct. Two bookends of your agents, and then
the buyer and the seller.
Buyer and a seller, and then if you have couples, I mean, the numbers, you get the point. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
It's not one.
It's not onesies and twosies. It's multiples.
Yeah. And so with the example of the 15 realtors, let's just say giving me one job each, that's 45 new jobs, right?
Yeah.
And I can tell you that if you impress a realtor, they will always use you for their own clients, and they will absolutely refer you to future clients, or thirdly, they'll refer you internally to the network of agents, because their agents are always having this problem. So the benefits of harvesting real estate leads are honestly exponential. Now, I will say to people, this process does lend itself specifically to general contractors. And the reason behind this is because general contractors are capable of doing a wide range of trade work for customers. Sure. Especially contractors, they may find results that vary from what I've mentioned, mostly because they're limited in the amount of work they can do. So a contractor can pull permits and this and that. So just know that when you're going into this, if you're a specialty guy who just does drywall, well, I'm sure you can get drywall work, but a general contractor who comes to that same realtor and says, I can do it all, is going to trump you every time, because realtors do not like having 15 different subs on an inspection report. They want one guy, get it done, get it out.
Yeah. And a lot of times they have to have that license contractor just to show, for the receipt and stuff being done.
That's correct. In fact, it says on inspection reports, at least it's here in South Carolina and other places, I'm sure there's reciprocity in the thought process. But the idea is, it says must be inspected, or not say must, it says have a licensed contractor review the work or whatever. Right. And that's another kind of side business, if you will, with potential with real estate agencies. In South Carolina, in Charleston specifically, we have a report that's called a CL 100. And this report is independent of a regular inspection report. So a regular inspection report tells you about door latches and your the sinkerator not working and light bulb, all that kind of stuff. The CL 100 is specific to structural and relates to termite damage, water damage, mold, mildew, that kind of stuff. Okay. Well, everybody, in fact, the mortgage companies require a CL 100 to close on houses in Charleston. Okay. So this report, and we're in the Low Country, right? It's called the Low Country for a reason. It's wet, So a lot of times we see stuff like surface mold, or we'll find serious issues like the sills under the house are rotted, or there's other things. Well, you cannot close on a house without that CL 100 being cleared by a licensed contractor. That means that Joe Schmo out there who doesn't have a contractor's license cannot clear that. It will not go through. You have to have your license. There's a separate one sheet you have. But what's beautiful about it is outside of the inspection reports, you have another potential avenue of doing work. And in a lot of cases, I'm extremely fair to my customers. I never want to screw somebody over because I think karma will come back and bite you. So a lot of contractors would be like, they got popped for mold and mildew. They're already scared. I'm going to tell them it's $1,000 and try to squeeze it. No, because a lot of times you can remediate it very simply, quickly, or the things that are noted on the CL100, they'll say things like past borer holes in the sill. Well, we look at it, it's structurally sound. Well, guess what? We're not going to charge you $5,000 to do that, but we charge every time for a CL100 sign-off letter, we charge $150 to the customer. So whether we do the work or we just go out there, look at it, and sign off, we have another potential money avenue.
That's a sweet way to get someone to pay for an estimate, huh?
Yeah, it really is. Well, it's a sweet way of getting us to, with our time, effort, to go out there and then put our contractor license on it. Right. It's worth the time. We don't really make money, but again, back to the point, and I think the other podcast that I've mentioned is, you're going to wow people if they get doom and gloom from a report and you go, look, it's not as bad. You don't have to do all this. It's just a simple sign off. You can see the stress come off the people's shoulders. Again, building trust. This guy's shooting me straight. Yeah, he charged me $150, but I get it. It's worth his time, effort, and all that. So, it is a nice way of getting that. So one thing I want to caution people, the contractors and people that are listening right now is to, do not be duped by real estate agents. And are real estate agents nefarious? No, they're not. Are there a lot of bad ones? Absolutely. And there's a lot of lazy ones, and there's a lot of young ones. There's a lot of part-time ones. There's a lot of people that aren't good. So when you're going through this, you've got to separate the wheat from the chaff, and you got to find the real estate agents that have their best interest in mind and their client's best interest in mind, but they reciprocate that back to you. If a real estate agent is always throwing you under the bus or last minute or whatever, I don't want to work with you. You're a problem. And that's what a successful company gets to pick and choose who they work for. So maybe not initially, but that was a growing pain with some of these. I jokingly told people, you're fired, like the Trump. I'm like, no, I'm done. I can't deal with you. Right. You're too hard to work with, and I don't like the way you do business, so I don't have to work with you. So I now have, to this current day, I have about and that number of 15, like an accordion way out, and then I brought it down to about 10 that I work with on a regular basis, and 4 that I do work with every month. That they're just we're the guys for it.
Well, I know that it can be, and it's like any, you got to niche it. You got to find the ones that are worth it to you, that you can build that relationship with, that you trust them, they trust you, and because good real estate agents are looking for team members to help make their life easy and to make their business successful. And then you've got other real estate agents that are just looking for people to get for $35 an hour to get in there and get it done, and it doesn't matter what it looks like, or to just say that it's fixed. And those are not the people you want to do business with.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And one thing that I don't call it a cautionary tale, but something that you should know, and this specific vein of leads that you get is, I do not charge. When somebody comes to me and they're a homeowner, they call and say, hey, Jonah, I want you to give me a price on redoing my kitchen. When I come out, I do not charge them any fee for estimates. I think it's a joke for a homeowner to get a fee for an estimate. That's what we're here to do. It's a cost of doing business. Right. However, there is a very deep caveat when it comes to buying and selling property. And I learned this the hard way, and I'm a pretty quick learner, and I cut it off really fast. But I was going out for a couple of these bad realtors, and they said, oh, can you tell us how this is the inspection report. We'd like to have X, Y, and Z fixed. Can you give us a price? And I'd have to go out, look at it, take my time, give it to them. Crickets. And then I'd say, hey, just call them. What happened? Oh, we negotiated that off of the sales price. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I spent my day, took my time out of my jobs to come help you negotiate. So in real estate transactions, for those listening, do not be afraid to charge a estimating fee. Right. And what I do, and there's a way of, you got to be coy and crafty, and this is what I do. I say, hey, look, if you want me to come out here, you don't own the house, you're looking to buy it, I'm going to charge you, and this price at where I sit now, I can charge. You may want to charge less, and I'm totally fine, but I charge people $200 because I know if you're serious or not, right?
Right.
So I say, hey, I charge $200. I will come out. I will give you a static and binding estimate on whatever you want. I'll shake hands with you, whatever, but you'll get from me a binding estimate. But you're going to give me $200 when you meet with me, and I'm going to turn that estimate over to you. Now, at the end of the day, you can use that however you want. You can choose to negotiate the price. You can say, oh, I spent $200 to learn something. I don't care. Or if you say, Jonah, we want you to fix this work, I'll knock the $200 off of the price and I'll do the work for you, right? And that's a way of keeping honest people honest. It's saying, hey, look, this is my time and effort. I'm in Charleston right now. As I stand here now, we are slammed, right? So I don't have time for this kind of stuff in my business. And I've grown it to the point where I don't need to go to things that aren't going to have results from them. And it sounds kind of pompous, but I don't know. That's just where I'm at now.
You've moved from one spectrum to another spectrum, and along the way you've learned the lessons, like many of us have, that what you can do, what you won't do, and what you should do. And you don't mind doing stuff like that as long as you're going to get paid for your time.
And you always have to learn, like, what you say has reactions, right? You got to look at empathy is a thing that's lost in today's youth, because you can sit on a phone and call somebody fat, and then you're like, I feel good about myself. I'm going to go make a sandwich, and you don't know what that other person's like, feeling. But when you have to look at somebody or interact with them and see when you say something like, I'm going to charge you $200, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want it to be fair to you and fair to me, but I'm going to pay it back to you if you react in a good way, and you say yes to the estimate. Well, what I noticed in watching people is they said, okay, not a problem. Yeah. Or some people would go, $200, that's a joke. There's other people doing it for free. And I'd go, you're right, and you should use them. Right. And I'd walk, because if that's how you're going to be about this and not be thinking clearly, you're not the client for me. You're going to be a pain in my butt from the start to the finish.
Because there's no value on your time.
Exactly. You already treat me a certain way. So it's a great way to just, kill a conversation quickly, or to gauge if a person's interested. And I will tell you, I'm not kidding you. 8 out of 10 times that I charge $200 for an estimate, they got some skin in the game, right? Yeah. So they end up coming back. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit of a sticky wicket, but it keeps them coming back and saying, well, we can use him. He'll knock $200 off. When you're doing this, guys and ladies, contractors out there who are listening, just keep in mind to build an extra $200 somewhere in your estimate. If you really want to be honest, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
or you can be because you did spend your time. Let's be honest. Right. You spent your time, your effort to do it. So I will never tell anybody not to do that. Or you can say, you know what, Jonah, the way I look at this, I'm just going to take it off because my estimate's an estimate. I don't think anybody would think bad of you on either side of that, because this is the business that we're in. That's something that's totally acceptable in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and I think that, like, 'cause the other day the other day I got a call, and every once in a while I get a call, and can you come give me an estimate? Sure. Do I have to be there? Yes. Why? Well, I would really like to know what you need done. Well, I want my house painted. And I go, is there any repairs? Well, I don't know. So they want a price. They don't want your value or what you can bring to the table. So I said, on those people, I'm gonna start saying, and mine was going to be $150. We're going to do, it's going to cost you $150 for us to come out and do an estimate. We'll give you, a 10 or 15 page report, we'll line item everything. But if you're going to be there, we would be happy to do it for nothing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. People who do not want to be at a job. Now, if they're in Boston and they're buying a house down here in Charleston, I get it.
Yeah, that's a different. Yeah, I do that a lot of times too. Yeah.
But if they're like, no, just go figure it out. It's like, no, that's not how this works. Yeah. I want to look at you. I want to talk to you. Yeah. We're humans. Yeah. I want to hear what you want, because guess what? I could give you the estimate and you weren't here, and then all of a sudden you'll come back and go, oh, well, that's not what I wanted. Well, that's funny because you weren't here.
Yeah.
So, and one thing I've come across when it comes to estimates, and this is getting outside of the no cost construction lead process, but I think when you do give these estimates, contractors, please be aware of this. The devil is in the details. You cannot be over descriptive in your estimate. And a lot of times it's going to cover your butt big time. Some contractors think if they're vague, they can hide numbers. No. You should never do that. You should be line item by line item. Like in an inspection report, I've written up an estimate that is 102 line item estimate before, and it killed me to do it. But guess what? The client was able to chew every bit of that off, and it said, replace fan. Customer supplies the fan. There was never a question. If they said, oh, I didn't know I had to supply the fan. That estimate you accepted said it. It's in paper. It's gospel. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's a good way.
And that's and in reality, I know we're getting a little off the subject, but it goes to the value, is that you're creating your value by making those line items. Because, just like I was talking to I was in a post the other day, somebody was doing a thing, and, how do you charge, I can't charge $50 an hour to paint. And I go, why are you charging by the hour? First of all, I said, it's the detail. It's not in the painting. It's in the details. Tell them what you're going to do. What are you going to prep? What are you going to do? What are you going to move? What are you going to clean? What are you going to cover? What are you going to, how many coats of paint? What are you going to put back? Are you going to vacuum up after? See, because it's not about the paint. Anybody can paint.
Yeah.
It's about getting through the process from the beginning of moving the furniture, and you make it as labor intensive as possible in your wording so that they're going to say, damn, I don't want to do that. I'll have the guy come in and do it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like one of the best examples in my own business that it happened one time and that had never happened again was back to the painting thing. I always tell clients, look, if you're going to save money anywhere, sure, you can paint. Are you going to be good at it? Probably not. But if you painted it, you're going to be satisfied with your paint job, right? Because you didn't pay somebody. Yeah. But the thing that I did, I remember one time the customer came to me and said we were building I forget, it was like doing some moldings or something, and they said, we'll paint the molding, we'll do the walls, everything. I said, no problem. Took that paint line item off, got done. Get done with the job. I'm coming to get the final payment. And they're like, yeah, so it says, they said there's nail holes and it needs to get caulked and all this other stuff. And I went, no, that's the painter's problem. That was my line item, said paint, included prep, caulk, nail hole fill, everything. You're on that. And they're like, no, my dad told me, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care what your dad said. You're being lazy. You tried to save money. I'm not coming back to do that if I'm not going to be painting, right? So that was an example of when, and I still to this day have clients who want to paint, and I let them, and I'm very specific. I have a thing that says client understands. They will caulk, fill nail holes, blah, blah, blah themselves. Well, I end up usually, nobody likes to do that. So I end up usually, my paint, quote was just for simplicity, $600. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, $300 to prep it.
Yeah.
So you get that work back, and it's good money maker, and you don't lose it all to them just doing all the work. But that's where, getting back to the estimates, that saves me a lot of the times. It saves me in being able to go back and reference and say, I don't remember that. Well, that's fair. You might not have remembered that, but do you remember reading the estimate and or my contract? Because that's gospel, and that's what we're going by. And it says you're filling the nail holes. And so you may get somebody who wants to debate to the comes home about that, but they can't debate what's on paper and what they sign. So it's like, whatever at the end of the day. So that's where estimating can be helpful in that, and in the sense of having it line itemed out like that.
Cool beans. So let's go back to the realtors for a moment.
Sure.
Now, when you went and picked out your realtors, because you were just starting out in business, you just went and you just picked out the realtors in your area, or the ones that's got the just the ones in your area that you felt that would be able, because you were just looking for business. But now, how would you do it?
Yeah, I think when I was first doing it, I didn't really care, to be honest with you. I think I looked up realtors in Charleston, and I wasn't looking like reviews, right? Because reviews on a realty agency doesn't tell about the individuals. It just says somebody didn't have a good experience. So you can't use that. But for one thing, I mean, different realty companies are predominant in certain areas. Carolina One is big here, as an example. as an example, excuse me, but you may have Century 21 or Prudential or somewhere in your area. So just be cognizant of when you're driving around, who do you see a lot of the signs for? That means they probably have a lot of agents. That's a good place. But even more simple than that, I just zoned in through a Google search and started plugging away. I just went to the websites and started going into it. If I was doing it nowadays, I would still probably take the same approach, because you will find the gems inside of the gems, being the real estate agents, inside of different agencies. So I've had bad experiences with agents at one realty and also great ones at the same one.
Sure.
You kind of, weave your path, and there's a lot of good agents at bad realties. So don't forget also to don't overlook the more boutique firms that aren't with these national brands. They may be more centralized to local, the local area. Those sometimes are good because they are a niche or a specialty boutique agency that deals sometimes in a lot more high quality contracts for you. So, you may be going from $500,000 houses to the $1.5 million range or whatnot. So they're all valid.
Yeah. Looking up for upscale realtors, or that people who sell, 500. I don't know what's your average house sell for up there, because I know you're in pretty much historic place, isn't it? Kind of pricey.
Well, it's funny because that's such a loaded question.
It depends on, like everybody else, what area of town you live in.
Well, it is, but I mean, Charleston is an expensive town as a whole. We have Kiowa Island that Oprah and a bunch of people live on. It's 30 minutes from here, so there's $22 million houses there, right? That's kind of skews it a little bit.
Yeah,
but we also have downtown where the houses are in anywhere between the $11 to $15 million range. But to answer your question, on average, you're probably looking at $450,000 to $500,000.
Okay.
About the average sale price for a home here. And then as you get to barrier islands, or is it on the water? I mean, that could skew greatly. But yeah, in general, that's about the price.
So really, let's talk to you guys out there. You can niche it to anywhere you want. You want $500,000, you're comfortable working with $500,000 homeowners, or you're comfortable with working with $1 million homeowners, then those are the realtors that you want to target.
Yeah, and keep in mind that if you're looking for inspection reports and little knick-knacky stuff to do to start with, but that is a different, when you deal with a client who owns a $1.5 million house, there is a whole different kind of line of thinking and business that you just can't do it half butt. How about that?
Yeah, if you're starting out, don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there, build into that, and then you'll be successful.
So that's been cool. This has really been awesome. Yeah, I know some of the things that we used to do, because as a painting company, we would do a lot. And we would do a little bit of repairs, stuff that didn't need permits and stuff like that. And what we would do is when we went back, when the homeowner called us back to do other things like other painting jobs after they bought the house, what we would do is we would just write a note to the realtor. Say, hey, just so you can put it in your file, Bob and Susie just had their house painted on such and such a date, so they can put it in their file. So because I'm becoming that team member for that realtor, let them know what's going on, so that if they're playing their cards right, the realtor, and keeping in touch with their clients, then they're going to sell that house again. But they'll have a portfolio of, we know you had this done and this done and this done, so we're in good shape. We know you don't have to do that.
Exactly.
This has been awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me do round two.
No, it's really cool because it's nice to talk to somebody who's in the trenches, has done the things, made the mistakes, and bounced back from them to actually turn those mistakes into successes, because that's really what makes us successful is just bouncing back from our mistakes, or tweaking things as we go along, because come on, to say that you can become successful by doing one thing is a phenomenon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and it's the one thing that I'm most proud about is that when I got into this, I didn't act like I knew everything, and just like the listeners, you can read, you can listen, get advice from other people, ask questions, learn along the way, learn from your mistakes, but continue to evolve. And I promise you, if you keep your head down and your nose clean and you do it the right way, you will find success in the end. So to everybody listening, keep your heads up and keep a positive attitude about it, and you'll be successful.
Absolutely. So, Jonah, again, how does give us your email, so if anybody wants to email you, ask some questions, or connect with you,
absolutely.
They can do that.
Yeah, feel free, anybody listening, if you want to reach out to me with questions, comments about the show today or anything, you can always reach me directly at jonahcanter@gmail.com. That's JONAHCANTER@gmail.com. Or for the more fun side of me, I'm a big Instagrammer, so you can check me out on my personal account, which is Chucktown, or you can find me on the Cantor Construction Instagram. Give me a follow. Give me a like on some of the pictures, and feel free to reach out to me any way you want to.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being with us. It's been a blast.
Thanks, Dave. Until next time.
Again, I want to thank you for joining us and investing your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, go to iTunes and give us a shout-out. You can also go to our website, www.contractorsecretweapon.com, and check out today's episode and leave us a comment in the bottom of the page. And if you haven't gotten your 15 secret weapon strategies to getting higher-end customers, get it while you're at the website. Also, I want to thank again our sponsors for keeping this podcast alive for your profit-making pleasure. And so go be profitable this week. Work smarter, not harder, and learn how to leverage your time and your knowledge so that you can be more profitable. Again, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractors Secret Weapon Podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you are listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractors Secret Weapon Podcast.